All right, and we're live. First of all, welcome everyone to Social Infrastructure, podcast about the Galaxy Simulator known as EVE Online. Brought to you by the Stay Feral Alliance, bringing you the 3Cs in EVE, content, community, and killing. We'll be covering updates on Stay Feral at the end of every episode, along with my corporation, Social Infrastructure. You can obviously watch us right here live on Twitch. Join our Discord, Social Infrastructure Podcast, or on YouTube. And tonight, we will actually have podcasts out there to listen to.
On this podcast, we talk to small and medium-sized corporations, alliances, and their directors about how they got their start in EVE, what they are currently doing, and in future episodes, we like to check back in on them, get an update, and then we like to end the episode covering off some EVE news and some battle reports. With us today, we have the very, very wonderful person, Thanak, from Weapons of Mass Production. I am the Real Eilish, and with me today as well is Titus Kyle.
Hey.
Hey.
Hi, Thanak.
Hi.
Alrighty, so let's. I've been a part of your alliance and absolutely loved it. In the community, you had. I called you guys like indie pilots with knives. But how about you give us a brief history about how you got your start in EVE and why you got into becoming a director and running the alliance the way you run it.
Okay, well, first I started EVE, like really playing EVE about 2 years ago. Initially, I had a character like in 2003 when the game started. I played like for a day, and I showed the game to my wife, and she didn't like it. So I ended up shelving the account and not playing for 16 years. And then like Christmas two years ago, I was like, okay, I'm looking for something to do like during the Christmas vacation. Let's start that game. It looked fun, and I had looked at the YouTube video about the industry for the little guy from the Lone Wolf, and say, oh, that looks interesting. So I started researching a little bit about industry, and I said, well, I'm going to start and do that. But at the same time, I wanted to like, okay, I'm going to do something special about it. I'm going to start recording video of like me starting the game as a full new bro, because you get a lot of tutorial like how to play, how to be good, and how to progress fast. But I mean, I'm going to record it like, okay, the game is supposed to be tough. Let's start. So I'm going to start doing, and I started playing solo, doing industry, stayed in ISEC for about a month, doing solo industry. Then I got into incursion, while still doing industry at the same time, but I just noticed that you're making a lot more money doing incursion than actually doing indie. And around about the 2.5 months, I was starting to have like a decent amount of ISK, like around 10 bill, or more or less. And I said, well, if I'm gonna do industry, might as well get a structure, get my own station. But why should I do that in ISEC? Because the bonus for doing industry in ISEC are crap. So I'm going to go and I'm going to anchor something in LowSec. So I went with a solo corp and anchor a station in LowSec, having never PvP'd in my life.
Oh, no.
And a few of the viewers said, okay, well, why don't you can we join your corp? Because I had to make a corp to anchor the station. So, well, sure. I mean, if I'm going to anchor a station, might as well have somebody to share the cost of the fuel with me. And then I started recruiting people, and we got to a point where we started to grow from there. I got the first week I had about 10 of the viewers that were watching my channel that joined, and we started to grow from there. Started to PvP from there because obviously you anchor something in LowSec, people are going to start to come and try to shoot it down. So we did get into a lot of fight, and the corp grew from there. We spent a little while in LowSec Essence, then we went into LowSec Genesis, and then we made the move. We created our own alliance, which is Weapon of Mass Production, and we went into Pureblind. We noticed an area where the ADM were super low, looked like the people that were there didn't want to hold the place. So we decided to invade there and just jump in the water with the shark, and
Yeah.
from there we survived and we grew a little bit. Then after a while in Pure Blind, we got to a size where we were significantly larger than we are now. And we tried to invade the Geminate. We got our ass handed to us, and and we withdrew, and then we joined Wrecking Crew, where we are now in Catch. So it's kind
Awesome.
of the story.
You were mentioning your YouTube channel, and for those that don't know, you want to let them in on what it's called so they can look you up, because you do like weekly episodes still, right? We've got a bunch of episodes going over just how you run the alliance, the current state of it, and honestly, it's just very, very transparent, educational videos and stuff like that, and I love them.
Yeah, I actually, when I mentioned to someone I was wanting to start this podcast, one of the first people I talked to, they actually pointed me towards you and how your content was laid out and all that, and to kind of look at you. And you gave me a couple ideas on how to do it. Yeah, obviously talk about it, but yeah, I definitely like how you have everything laid out. It's cool to see that progression.
Yeah. But my channel is called Gaming Since the 70s, and the series is called Building My Industrial Empire, which I kind of didn't know what it meant at the time where I decided to use that name, but I stuck with it because it makes sense that I don't want to change the name right now. I do one weekly episode, except if there's like really a lot of stuff happening, or sometime I make a midweek episode. But typically, I just record like what I'm doing as the CEO. It's more like a captain's log format than actual tutorial, because I just record like, okay, this happened this week, we did that, and we try to do this, and I try to go with my reasoning behind the move that we're making and stuff like that. And I try to avoid to put too much spin in it. I know that like there's a lot of propaganda in Eve. I try to be like you said, transparent about like, okay, sometimes we do stuff that works, sometimes it doesn't work, and I usually tell it like at least my perception of it. So some people accuse me of spinning stuff, but obviously.
Well, I think everyone's kind of just has their own opinion in the way they see things, and not everyone's going to like that, interpretation you have of the instance, and think that that's spin. It's pretty impossible to.
Yeah, and I mean, the reality of the game is that nobody has perfect information. So I know stuff because of the people I talk to, because of the channel I'm on, the Discord I'm on. I get some view of the situation, but I'm not in everybody's channel. I don't have perfect intel like anybody in game. So sometimes my perception of it is tainted by the information I have, obviously.
Yeah, for sure.
I think my favorite thing when I was in WOMP was like going week to week trying to get like the best kills like from our roams and stuff, so it would appear on your next episode. That was like a mission for like everybody like that was roaming with us. I was like, we have to go get content for Thanak's next episode. We have to get like a juicy kill. We have to get a carrier, this or that.
Oh yeah,
it motivated a lot of people to like go out and fight.
Oh yeah. Our guys are pretty kill hungry for industrialists.
yeah, just indie boys with knives. Like before I joined you guys, like I'd run over there and like I just like kind of hunt some of you guys, and just the amount of people that would respond, I'm like, oh my god, I love them. This is amazing.
Yeah, we do get accused of blobbing, but the thing is, the reality of it is uncom. Like, okay, we got a guy in that system, so everybody's undocking because they want to get on the kill. So that's pretty much how it goes. It's not like we don't blob on purpose. It's just that everybody want to go and be on the kill. So.
Yeah, no kidding. Go on comms. Okay, guys, first 5 people to raise your hand get to go. Everyone else, you got to sit here. Yeah. That's funny. It was kind of interesting to hear about your first time you played Eve, and it kind of actually made me think for a little second. I actually stumbled across it on YouTube like 9 years ago, and I didn't even have a computer at the time, but it was like, when I stumbled across it, it was the reason for me to buy a computer. And I That was kind of funny when you brought that up, or a little different circumstance for yourself. But.
Oh yeah, I mean, it is a game. It's worth it to buy a computer to play this game. There's no, I mean, I've played a lot of MMORPG. I'm an old guy. So, I played I basically played MMO since they were text based, but no other game has the depth, the social depth of Eve, where the mechanic. I mean, you can find good mechanic in many other games, but in no other game you have the amount of freedom to actually build something and fight for something that you've built. Uh, this is what's making this game that the politic, the social aspect of this game is what's making it like that fun to play and that addictive.
That's funny too, and also when you made that comment about when you the what's the name of the build of your industrial empire or something like that, how what in other games that might mean and what in Eve that means is not really much of a comparison. Probably didn't know what you were getting yourself into.
Yeah, clearly, honestly, like on day one, what I was thinking is, oh, okay, I'm gonna have a lot of factory producing stuff. And I was thinking like Factorio or like any type of production game. I had no clue like what empire building in Eve is, but strangely enough, my Siri kind of got me into that situation where we now hold sovereign.
Yeah, I mean, not only like held Saw, but took some of it, especially in Pure Blind and that stuff. I think Pure Blind, a couple years ago was definitely a great place where small organizations could get out there and take a little bit of Saw for themselves. I know that me and Eilish, that's what we did, and I mean, it didn't work out in us in the long run, but we got to have a little slice of pie for a couple months.
Oh yeah. I mean, when we got there was one system, but the thing is, you have Benderlog that basically have a strong grip on the region, even though now they're being chased by Brave. But it was like a place where you could, and strangely enough, the south now around Catch Tenerife, you got a lot of little different corp because group like Fire or Wrecking Crew, or they are they're not like the big blob. They're not Imperium or Horde, so you can make a living as a small corp there, but you do get to a point. We had a very special situation in Pure Blind where we managed to get there and also without any outside allies, without being part of any coalition, and we had to play diplomatically. Like basically, they were two sides fighting each other, and we kind of played the card that, okay, well, if you fight us, we're on the other side. So kind of went with that, and it worked for a while. So.
Yeah, that was an interesting, conflict of two great big organizations, and if kind of got in the middle of it, it would kind of definitely have the potential to kind of just get ran over. So, how do you guys kind of have your leadership structure? Do you kind of in charge of it all, or you just have people? You said you started out by yourself, and you had people that just want to join the organization. They kind of just step up to the plate and fill in roles as needed.
Yeah, that's what. Well, and I started when I started there, like in the first week, I got a few guys that look like they knew more what they were doing than than the average guys. So these guys quickly became officer in the corporation. They helped me out a lot, and I've been in contact with a few guys. Like it's now like 2 years that I've been playing, so I got a few guys that have been playing with me for a while. In WOMP, you got me as the CEO. I got 3 director, one NA, one EU, and one Australian time zone. So we basically have round the clock coverage for a director. Got about 6 or 7 officer. 6 officer, which one is in charge of like we got our moon guru, we got a few FCs, we got like so we basically, they each got their aspect that they're running, which worked pretty well. I mean, real life, I'm a senior manager in a big company, like at a 20,000 employee company, and I'm pretty high up in the org chart. So managing people is something that I like. I don't want to brag or flex, but something that I'm used to. So I don't have any problem delegating. Of course, there's the aspect in Eve, which is the actual risk of delegating, because you're risking asset that you kind of don't have to that level in real life, because the cop would protect you.
Yeah,
But in
yeah.
Eve, if you delegate to the wrong person, they can empty your corp wallet, or they can. So, but the people that have officer position in our group have been with the group for a long time. So it usually worked pretty well. We had one case where our IT guy decided to try to AWOX us, but he had limited access, so he was limited in the damage he could do.
Well, shoot, I mean, it wouldn't be an Eve story if there wasn't something like that in there, would it? Huh. So, kind of moving on here. So, what do you guys? I know you said obviously you mine and stuff, but like, what do you guys like to do for content? What drives you guys and gets you to undock every day?
Well, right now there is a big conflict between Wrecking Crew, which we're a part of, and Fire. So we do have a group of hostile neighbor that are more numerous than us. So we do a lot of maintaining our ADM. We do occasional roam in their space to try and pick off radders and miners from their side, and they return the favor more than enough. So yeah, we do those daily fights. Sometimes we will eat. Obviously, we do have a big. We are an industry. We started as an industrial group, and most of our guys like to do industry. So we do have an extensive factory setup. I think that in the entire region of Catch, we're the system where the industrial index are the highest, because the guy do industry a lot. But we're going to go roam. We're going to participate in coalition fleet. We got some like there's no lacking of content. We can get like roamer in our system 3, 4, 5 times a night. So we'll hunt them down aggressively typically. So like this is like food coming, it's like delivery. They're just coming to your doorstep, so you're gonna grab that. So obviously.
Oh, for sure. That's awesome. So, gotta ask the question? What's your guys' ship of choice? What do you like flying out there?
Well, if I would say the WOMP ship of choice is the Caracal, because we're like crazy Caracal pilot. It's our go-to ship most of the time, Caracal and Ferox, because well they're cheap, so you can spend a lot of them. When we go on bigger coalition fleet, we'll go with Serbs or Tengus or Typhoon typically.
Oh, nice.
These are more doctrine oriented, but for in pocket fighting, we'll it's Kergel and Ferox, or we'll adapt. I mean, we do have some. If there's a Marauder in pocket, we do have some more blingy stuff that we'll throw at it. Or
for sure. Nice. Yeah, I'm a little partial to that Caracal myself. I think for how affordable it is, it's pretty hard to beat. So like, obviously, Purblind and getting that was, harder getting in there, and then obviously you guys got pushed out. But like, what can you tell us about kind of some obstacles you guys have kind of had to overcome, or growing pains? Like what kind of moments you've had to really prove yourself?
Well, when we got into Purblind, we weren't ready for what we got in. So we had we were a fielding fleet of maybe 30 pilots, and we were fighting guys like the absolute honor guys that had purchased some station from Scumlord. So we were fighting groups. They were hitting us with fleets of 100 people against 30, 40 guys from our side, and so we were throwing Ferox versus Ferox. That was hard. We had a great FC, and I think that during that time their FC just quit the game, so they had either their CEO or anyway whoever was FCing on their side clearly didn't have the experience with large fleet. Uh, so we managed to come equal when we were doing Ferox versus Ferox, even though we were outnumbered. But at some point we switched to a Cerberus doctrine against Ferox, and then we were just wiping the floor with them. So that was a place where we had to adapt to say, okay, like T1 ship will not do like for strong doctrine fleet. So we did have to put to get there, and we did have to maneuver politically between with their now greater trash hostile state at the time, Volta and Benderlogs, who were both fighting in Pureblind. So we did have to navigate between that. We grew in numbers, but we were very reliant on FCs, and that's actually what showed a lot when we went to invade Geminate. We had a fleet initially of 120 people from WOMP, so that's an in alliance fleet of 120 when we started. A significant cap fleet that we did never put on grid at that point. So, and within a week or two, what became clearly obvious is that we had a lot of people that were willing to fleet up and press F1, but they didn't know how to fight. So whenever there wasn't an FC to lead the guy, they would crumble. They would end up like bleeding ship left and right against guys like Tissue, which were very experienced pilots. And at some point we were fighting Tissue, and Initiative joined them, and you had Dark Side, and so we were kind of way above our head. So even though we had good number initially, we didn't have that many pilots that were able to make decision on the spur of the moment. So fleet battle usually went okay, and they avoided large fleet. And then when they would hit iHub with small group, they would hit us with small gang, and our guys just didn't know. They were expecting an FC to anchor and to tell them who to shoot. And when we basically tucked tail and ran, we had lost group, we had lost pilot. The people that were left were people that were really loyal to the organization. So we started rebuilding from there, and we rebuilt it more on a focus on the quality of the pilot. So now if you're engaging a WOMP fleet, it's like a WOMP small group. It's no longer the same thing as when we were in Geminate or even Pureblind. Is the guys will pilot their own ship, they will make their own decisions. So we have more that like we're more experienced in the game. We know what's happening. So we do focus a lot more on quality now than quantity of pilot.
Yeah, for sure. And that's kind of one of those, you live and you learn. And I think, some of these groups, I think they kind of get hostage a little bit, or almost a victim of their own success when you have these outstanding FCs that can, just take a normal group of people and push them above and beyond. But once those people, something happens to those FCs, then, it really shows you where you have your weaknesses. But yeah, sounds like you guys have learned from that. And so how do you get where you guys are at now?
Well, after we left, we still had a decent core of member. We could still fleet about 40 people in fleet, like for a mining up. We did a mining up. We tucked tail and ran back to ISEC for about a week. We did a mining up just to assess how many people we still have, and we were down to about 40 people in fleet after Geminate. So I started shopping around, looked at, and we did have a few solid offer. Some of them were mostly like that, and that's one thing for a smaller group when you're not experienced, is people will basically try to eat you up. Yep. And they will try to assimilate your group and just basically like suck your shell dry, throw the shell away, and steal your pilots. And some of the offer that we got were more or less predatory, but a few of them were very good. And the best, what we wanted to is, because one of the reason we got so many people gang up on us in the Pureblind is people were still thinking that we were aligned with fraternity, because we traded blue for blue to move our cap around to the area. So people were thinking that we were aligned with fraternity, so that we were Winterco, or that we would join Winterco, which wasn't the case, and that we were Ord aligned because one of our FC was an ex-Ord pilot. So we wanted to make sure that we would pick a side. We would pick a group that was as neutral as possible, so not aligned with any of the big groups. So we wanted a smaller scale coalition that was not said to be a pet of any of the bigger group. And Wrecking Crew was the basically the group that corresponded the most with that, because they're not like they're an independent smaller coalition, so which made sense. And they did have some space. Initially they offered us to rent. We discussed a little bit, then with the amount of pilot that we were bringing, we said, well, no, we're joining in as combat pilot, and we want to be part of the coalition, contribute, go there to their fleet, but we're not going to be renter. That was something that we won't never did rent and never will rent. So
yeah, good for you guys. That's awesome. Yeah, sounds you guys been liking the area. Sounds like it's been a good move for you.
Oh yeah. I mean, it helped us. I mean, at that point when we just left Pureblind, we were honestly on the not too far from collapsing. We had lost a lot of our leadership, and it took time to rebuild. Now we're a lot. We're back on our feet, and we're a lot stronger than we were at that point. Like 3 months ago, we started getting more and more people. Our number online have been slowly climbing back. We got people that left and that are joining back, and so. Right now we're in a good place. So we did thrive a lot in that place, and we did learn a lot. And content-wise, they're like probably the best place we've been in my EVE career, in the amount of content that we're getting. That is actually good content, like fun stuff, fun small gang stuff. Okay, like almost daily we can join a coalition up fleet, which is also pretty cool. So we're in a really good place right now.
That's awesome. It sounds like it. Yeah, it always helps to have a nice coalition that helps give you that content. And it sounds like you guys been kind of getting a lot of it up there with your engagement, or down there, or however you want to say that. So
yeah, we went on. Out of the Blue has gone on like quite a bit of fleets where we see the little womplings there, tearing shit up. It's really awesome, and it's really awesome to hear that you guys are in that better spot. But what are your future plans? Like, what do you have in store for WOMP's future?
Well, obviously we'd like to get to financially we've recovered from where we were. We'd like to grow back, obviously, to the level we're at, but with more quality. We are in a place where we are very comfortable, and Wrecking Crew had our back when we were down, so we're doing our best to return the favor at that point. So we're not planning on moving. We don't have the actual. I mean, we got 10 system now, which is we could easily fit at least like 50% more than the number of pilot that we have now. So we're not in a place and if there's one thing that I've learned from my time as a CEO of an Allsec Corp is that you don't want to hold too much space. It's a liability. You want to be. So I would say that the place we're at now, until we get like to above 120 combat pilot, no point in trying to even look at grabbing more space.
Yeah, that's smart. Yeah, I think there's a lot of groups that they just try to grab everything they can and think it'll work out. Well, I mean, look at before you moved into Pureblind, how United Conifers. I mean, shoot, they had what 2.5 regions or something like that. Didn't work out too well for them.
Yeah, I mean, it will work. Conquest is easy. But after that, maintaining this place, it's a liability on your wallet because you got to pay all those IOBS bill,
Oh
and
yeah.
it's and if you got to have guys raising the ADM and everything, you're spread thin, so you can't react when somebody's coming in your pocket. So there's no point in being too big. So the place we're at right now is we're in a good spot. It's sustaining our guys with bounty risk modifier above 150. So we're pretty good where we are now. And after that is just a question of, do I have the manpower to grow bigger or not? Obviously, if I get into a point where, let's say tomorrow, or like let's say a month from now, our number have doubled, then and I start to see the bounty risk modifier going down. Say, okay, well then we need more space. Then we're going to think about extension and either grabbing something next door, or it's not like we're lacking enemy in the immediate area, so we've got a lot of people where we could hit, but it's not our plan in the short term.
Yeah. Just out of curiosity, you guys been utilizing the new drone sites for capitals at all?
Not really. We aren't big we do some marauder riding, but we're not doing much cap riding in our part. We're just like too close to the front line to be
Yeah, for
extensive
sure.
cap riding.
Definitely risky. Well, that's awesome. So obviously you guys said you're growing and all that kind of stuff. Like if you can, I guess, have a little recruitment, page or something out there. What are you guys looking for? Like someone listened to this and they want to join you guys. What's your ideal pilot?
Well, what we want is a pilot that understand that you need to fight. We don't expect somebody that is. We're new bro friendly, so we will take somebody that has just started playing the game. Well, we ask for the person to have been at least like. We don't take like 1 day old character, but typically 1 month old character we will take. But we want somebody that knows that freedom has a price, you would say. So
Yeah.
that if somebody's coming to hit your stuff, you don't dock up. You go there and you fight, and you will lose stuff, and that's okay. The group will have your back, but we want somebody that's not afraid, that will not go hide in ISEC, that will not go avoid all fights, that will be willing to fight. After that, the skills, the ability to pilot, the ability to work in the group, that will come in time. He will fly with the guy. He will get on comm, and he will get in fleet, and he will learn. We all did.
So, exactly.
But it's the right attitude of somebody is there, somebody's hitting you or hitting your friend, you undock and you go fight. That's what we want. And obviously, if he's an industrialist and he's tired of having people shoot his stuff and being bullied because he's only a lowly miner, he's in a good place with us, because we were there and we know how it is, and we still like to mine, but when somebody hits our miner, they get a punch back.
Yeah, exactly. Yep, that's kind of the philosophy I've always had, is just looking for that person with the right mentality. We all started with nothing. You can, especially now modern, with having skill injectors and all that kind of stuff available to us. Skill points anymore, aren't as crucial as they used to be. I think.
I think
you can climb fast, with the daily skill reward and everything.
Yeah, I think my favorite thing about my time in WOMP was just going back to the type of members you guys had, just the willingness to learn. Like every realm we took out, there was like 20 dudes, 20, 30 dudes just tagging along. And, the home defense was just insane. Like you'd get like a 50, 60 man Caracal fleet just for a gang roaming through. And it was just like at a snap of a finger. And it was amazing. And that's kind of where the indie guys with knives came from. It's because, they'd drop everything. They'd all be out mining, and then everyone just disappears, and then a fleet comes at you.
Yeah, like we said, we're peaceful at heart. We're like Switzerland with guns.
That's awesome.
And if somebody is interested in joining, well, there's a link to our HR Discord in the Corp description. So just go there, and we got people that will talk with you and bring you on board.
That's awesome. Since you're kind of the first one on the podcast we've had that's kind of had social media present, like how has your YouTube journey been as far as starting out with that and cataloging all your accomplishments and triumphs and your highs and your lows and all that on YouTube?
Well, actually, that kept me going in the few time that I would have quit. It's actually the YouTube story that kept me going, because I had people watching stuff and say, "Oh, I gotta keep going because I've got people watching my stuff every week." So initially, I started with 0 subscriber, but week 1, surprisingly enough, I had like 10 followers, like mostly experienced, and some of them are in corp right now. So one guy specifically was a very experienced industrialist who became kind of my mentor in game. He was talking with me a lot, and I won't name him because I don't think that I'll respect this, but he's a very experienced player who kind of guided me through a little bit at the beginning. And slowly, as the corp grew, especially when we started doing PvP and when the story was like getting engaging, the number grew, and I'm now at that like a little above 2,000 subscriber. Get like more than 500 view every week. So it's that part is going great. And again, I didn't start that to become like the next YouTube sensation. Eve is a niche game, so if I really wanted to grow the channel, let's say, and be like, okay, at least another game every week, so that at least, but the thing is, I don't do that to become the next big YouTuber. I do that because I'm a CEO in Eve, and this is like one way to communicate to my member and to document what I'm doing, and because I love the games. So it's never been about like being the biggest YouTube channel ever, but I still managed to grow to a substantial size. So I don't make like a ton of money for YouTube. It's basically paying for the alliance portal for WOMP.
That's awesome. No, it's. I mean, Eve is definitely. I think it's kind of always a game that it's about the story and all these. I mean, like I said, it's Galaxy Simulator. See what would actually happen if man was out there controlling the stars, and obviously fights are going to happen over it. And, people tune in to see those stories, and there's people that follow Eve that don't even play the game. And yeah, I've looked at your YouTube channel, and it's great. And, yeah, like every week, you get to follow along, and kind of can't wait to see what happened next, and just the way catalog all that stuff. And it's cool that is giving you the opportunity to kind of help cover the bills on some of these things that we almost have to have to play game.
Yeah, and I do have another playlist of all the place where WOMP got mentioned or appear in other video that I catalog. So I got like
really?
I got
awesome.
a playlist of other content creator so when I see like when WOMP is showing up in good or bad light, I will try to tell both sides of the story, because I think it's part of the story. So I do link there. So there, if you go on my channel, there's 2 playlists public, and one is WOMP appearance in other channel, where you will see like where places, and some of them are actually a lot better content creator than I am.
I feel like you're doing amazing work, Thanak.
Yeah, I wouldn't sell yourself short. No, that's awesome. That's super fun and engaging and all that. And it sounds, Eilish talking about it. It sounds like the guys in the corp and stuff probably like it too.
Yeah, those were the days before scarcity when all my ships weren't fucking over $1 billion in price.
Yeah, well, we're getting a little bit better. We'll see what happens next. Yeah, so I kind of the last little question we always, give on a little Q&A panel here is, you got any like little tips or tricks or words of advisement you can give to people kind of like yourself when you started out, trying to build their own little community organization, or maybe get a YouTube channel started?
Well, YouTube obviously helped me a lot to recruit initially, but I would say that the basic thing is you don't need to have a big group to start having fun. But Eve is a social game, so
Mm-hmm.
getting people, flying with people. If you start and you're like I would say, I probably retrospectively, I had a great fun story in Eve myself. I really enjoyed it, but that would probably not be the best way to become a CEO and run a group efficiently. Just starting to lead a group while not knowing anything about the game, that's probably like not the best way. But any player in Eve, if you're still flying in ISEC and you're in the newbie corp, get a real corp. And if you try something, it doesn't work out because it's not a good group, get into another group and another group, but find a good group of people that you like and that you have fun with. And that's what this game is all about. The game changed for me honestly. If I didn't have the YouTube and the YouTube channel, where at one point I had like, I think that when I created the corp I had like 100 subscriber, and I created the corp and I decided to open the corp to other player. I was at the point where, okay, well, I got like 10 billion in my wallet doing incursion, but I'm doing nothing. Like, that's not what I've read about this game. That's not what I've heard about this. Like, is this all there is to it? And then I created the corp, and that's when the game changed for me. That's when the game became more than what it is. It became social, and you don't have to be CEO for the game to be like that. You can just be part of a group, and you follow you build something with other people. You play. You spend your evening with other people. You don't spend your evening looking at your ISK wallet, like the number in your wallet go up. That's pointless. You need to write a story. You need to have fun with other people. So join a corp, and if you do start, find other people that you are willing to trust. And as a CEO, delegate, even though you might be scared a little bit at first. And it's you got to learn to trust people, because a CEO can do it anything alone. Like I had weeks where I was borderline burnt out, and I got carried by my officers. And this will happen to any CEO. You will have time where it's hard, and those guys in your corp will keep you going. So
Yeah, I know that. Yeah, I agree with you completely. I know, I think was Broden a couple episodes ago, he said if you want to see how your organization, how good of a leader you are, then leave for a couple weeks and see what happens to the organization. Delegating, like you said, and putting those right people in the right spots. Because, yeah, I know from my own personal experience in the past, I've burnt myself out and basically had to step away from kind of a good thing had going, but just, yeah, doing too much. You know, kind of. I mean, this game definitely feels like a job, but it shouldn't be a job. Yeah,
Definitely is a job sometimes.
yeah. And then also, I know that there's, I don't know, I've met a lot of people that, join, I mean, basically terrible corporations compared to some of the other ones I've been in. And yeah, you just have these people that are just toughing it out for some weird kind of loyalty. I don't know. I think pretty much if you have to ask yourself if you're in the right organization or that right little clique or community, then you're probably not. Because, yeah, you'll know when you find it. And I can't recommend it more. Just keep looking until you do.
yeah, if you're not having fun, you're not at the right place. It's
Yep.
basically as simple as that.
Yeah. Does this game feel like a game?
Depend on the day.
Yeah, no kidding. Oh, yeah, I know. If I wasn't busy enough in the evening, yeah, I was starting this podcast up. Oh boy. But no, it's been super fun. And like you, yeah, I'm only on episode 6 with this, but it's been super fun. Been a learning experience, and yeah, I think it's definitely keeping me going a little harder and kind of staying rejuvenated. And I mean, it's still about Eve, but it feels like I'm doing something different.
Yeah, you got to keep it as a game in your mind, but it's not a game where you will log in and do what you want to do necessarily. It's a game where you will log in and sometime the game will throw something at you. I didn't want to be defending South tonight, but I guess that's what I'll do.
Yeah,
Someone had a different plan.
Oh, look, they're intestine the IHub again, guys. I guess we have to fucking deal with that. My goodness, Geminate was... I still have nightmares from Geminate.
That's awesome.
Eve can definitely be work, but I think if you find a good community, it's all worth the effort.
Yeah. Yeah, I know with like my group, when we have those people that, you know, they tell you this is the funnest they've had playing the game and stuff like that. Kind of like, okay, maybe I'm doing something right. Yeah. Well, if you want to stick with us, I mean, I think we kind of got a battle report we're going to go over with Eilish here a little bit that kind of pertains to you guys. And maybe after that, we'll pick your brain a little bit, since you are kind of an indie man, on what you think of these patch notes. I know a lot of other groups in-game and out and podcasts and YouTubes have definitely given their opinion on it. But
yeah, for sure.
All right. Well, bring up the internet here. Maybe. Give me just a little second here. Man, I'll tell you what, when you think you got everything set up, it really helps doing this too that I'm not a tech guru at all.
Oh yeah, I get that. I have no idea how to work computers at all. I was going over my computer setup with the guys the other day, and they're like, "Oh my god, how do you even play video games on this? We feel so bad for you." And I'm like, "Is it that bad?"
No kidding. Well, I'll get this pulled up. We're gonna look at that battle report in UTAC-Q. Why don't you start talking about that, and I'll see if I can actually get it to show up on screen here.
So I believe that happened earlier this morning. I think it was a Fire Co versus Red Alliance, and you know ALM Evictus is supporting Red Alliance, but oh my goodness, I'm dropping everything. But Fire's been pushing into Impasse, like, you know, Faith Abolish, like that area over there, and this was a pretty hefty fight. Give me a second so I can pull it up too.
Well, I actually do have it on the screen. And then another thing too is as I was downloading this stuff to actually be, you know, just in audio form, I'm going to try to get a little bit better about verbally talking about these battle reports, because as I was thinking, I was like, oh man, we're going to be talking about stuff they're going to have no clue.
So yeah, this was some of the Womplings were here on this one too. So Legion of Death, Razor Lions, you know, just the whole kit and caboodle. Fire Co showed up, just a bunch of caps lost. I believe this was over a structure. Oh God, gotta love the one that Cole knows about. It's the first one.
That one, I think that my guys got called as a coalition up, where we went to give help to Red Alliance. I don't know the context or what it was over, but it did sound like a fun fight, because from what I've heard from what I got on Discord. So I wasn't personally there, but
it looks like both sides traded, you know, some caps, you know, as usual. But the Typhoon pick, just with the sheer amount of like Munins, Eagles, really isn't gonna cut it. I think our guys went off and brought Lokis, and that didn't go out too well. Lost an entire Loki wing, but it is how it is sometimes. You just have to fucking roll the dice and see what happens.
Yeah, from the amount of time we're seeing test with fire. I've heard it through the grapevine. I don't know if it's true or not, but I've heard through the grapevine that test is actually going to join fire as an actual member of that coalition.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised, especially like after the war, like how that all panned out. I think they pulled back into, it's one of the regions right next to Wassa.
So quickly, just give a little deal here. So this battle report was from 69 FT TAC 6. Looks like we got on Team A, we got 497 involved, and Team B 560. Team A got Razor Alliance, got some Test, a bunch of other names, Legion of X Death, and on the other side we got Jakaris, and see some other big names, Red Alliance on here, out of the blue. And yeah, it's a pretty bloody fight. Team A had 35 billion loss, and Team B had 65 billion loss. Got some capital kills and faxes on this. Yeah,
usually like for these fights where it's like Red Alliance and their coalition and support versus Fireco and all their support as well, like they're always usually just massive slugfests, like when they actually happen. I think going back, we were covering like a fort timer for Fire versus Red, and it was just an absolute slugfest. That was one of the ones that I was on where we were flying Tengus into Munins, and it was just at zero, just punching each other in the mouth for like 15 minutes. To be honest, I'm not a huge fan of tie-dye, but I think that was one of the ones I definitely had a good time with.
Yeah, it looks like Red Alliance had a bunch of cruise missile fit Typhoons.
Yeah, honestly, it's just with sheer numbers, it's Munins online.
Yeah.
Just there's not really much you can do like for like massive alpha doctrines like that. Like you can have any amount of logi in the world, but you're just rotating through primary after primary.
Yeah, for sure. From those fleet I've been on, at some point I was thinking even let's forget about logi, just bring all tank ship and fight the Munin on a we're gonna bring more DPS than you do. And
yeah, no kidding.
I mean, usually for like if you're fighting up against Munins, applying jams is one of the best approaches, because you're removing that alpha. Like the closer and closer you get to removing that like critical mass for alpha numbers, the more you're able to like actually brawl with that fleet doctrine. Like Out of the Blue runs the Tengus, because there's been a few times where we've had to run into these Munins, and it'd be like 40-50 Munins versus 30 Tengus, and just having that amount of jams on grid just removes that DPS from the equation, and you're actually able to engage them pretty well.
Yeah, we do fly those Tengu too with Wrecking Crew, and it does. There's like a kind of a range where if you're not too outnumbered, it will work, but it does have its limit too. So.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, and then for those of you just listening, I'm just scrolling through just endless pages of Munins and Eagles. Yeah, Hacks Online right here.
Yeah, it's just kind of how it has to be, especially with scarcity. Battleship doctrines can be pretty expensive, and just the hacks are, they're very secure in their doctrine picks.
Got one more little battle report here to look at. It's up on screen right now in UTAC Q. I don't know if
this was the one you brought, right, Thanak?
Yeah, that one happened like a few hours ago. From what I understood, it was a fight over an initiative.
Yeah, out in Cloud Ring and
between the Fire Coalition and.
Oh, this is in Catch.
Yeah, this isn't catch.
Okay.
This one we got to a point where at some point we were okay. There's tie dye in the pocket. The guy,
There's
the one
our
writer were like,
neighbors.
okay, what's happening?
Yeah, our neighbors are fighting, and it's causing tie dye in our staging system.
Yeah, and
I gotta love that.
looking on this one real quick. Yeah, on Team A, we got looks like 220 Goon Swarm, of course, about 100 Initiative, and then a bunch of other Imperium members, and 170 Pandemic Horde made up the majority bulk on Team B, and along with Test Alliance and the usual band of suspects. Yeah, fighting over Fortizar. Lots of claymores lost. Bloody.
We were getting ready to form up and go try to just kind of whore on it a little bit.
Yeah,
but they disbanded before we got there.
Pretty even fight though. Looking at it, it's lost. Yeah, Team A was 31 Bill, and Team B was 37. That's a tight one. Both sides bled on that.
For showing relatively okay, just with the ISK efficiency. Fighting on a 4 grid alone is pretty difficult, and then at the same time engaging an enemy fleet. They probably just pulled the plug when it started to look like a little too bloody for them. But being able to trade one 31 bill to their 37, 38 is actually pretty good on them.
Yeah. Once again, Pages and Munins here. They did looks like the test side did bring quite a few Cerberuses. I mean, Imperium's got a few as well, but yeah. Those typically are going to be heavy missile, I take it?
Yeah, they most definitely are, like heavy missile Serbs. It seems that as the days go on, it's just either Serbs or Munins that are, in the prime light of hack doctrines. It's either that or you're seeing a lot more Tengu fleets, especially with the changes to the subsystems to where you won't lose like any of the skills you have trained, which I think is an amazing change. That doctrine alone is pretty awesome.
Yeah, I was kind of wondering if that was actually going to make a difference or not, but it's cool to see that people are actually fielding them more.
You do get the occasional Eagle fleet, though.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It's usually like the larger blocks that are, fielding the Eagles, because you do need a good fair bit of numbers in order to make Eagles.
Kind of get that critical effective mass, yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, since we do have an industrial pilot, and this is kind of the hot topic of the moment right now in EVE, how do you feel about the changes? Okay, do you think that's going to, well, I guess the bottom line, you think it's going to hurt or help?
I think that it's a mixed bag. It is a step in the right direction, I think. I think that compression for gas is actually really good. I think that compression for Moon Horde, they should have let it be doable in station. I know that the goal behind it is to have Rourke stay on grid for a longer period of time, but that is, well, yeah, I'm so on that one, on that part. I do like that they reduce the capital, the PI material and part of the gas that you need for capital, but I don't think that's going to be enough to make people start building capital ship again. The problem is the gas. Requesting gas for capital part is what's blocking the supply chain at this point, I think.
Yeah, and then especially, I mean, the oracles, they could just do that compression in a pause, and then kind of defeats the point of the patch, doesn't
it? Well, yeah, but you'll have to let your oracle like AFK in a pause all night. But yeah, I like the compression waste, you would say, not the actual waste in mining. That's just dumb. But the fact that when you compress, you lose part of the material, because that way it makes you have to think about it. Like, is it because anything that doesn't dump down the system and makes you have to make a choice, and that this choice has consequences, is good. Anything that's pushing toward more AFK, used to the like mining AFK or half AFK and having everything work automatically. So I don't think that it's as bad as people make it out to be. I think that it is a step in the right direction. It's better than scarcity as we had, but it's still not what it was before. So
Yeah. I mean, obviously, we're not by any stretch of the imagination hardcore industrialists, but it was a little concerning when I heard people talking on comms about if prices for things were going to go up, and I was like, if we're talking about that, I don't think the general feelings on this patch are going in the right direction.
No, I don't think that the price is going to go up.
I didn't think so either, but it's just the fact that heard some people talking about that, I was like,
But the thing is, even though we had scarcity, just do the math today on building a cap, and look at the price they're selling, and they're still having, after what scarcity started 6 months ago or something like that. Its price still haven't adjusted to the point where you were building it at zero profit. You're still losing money if you're selling a cap at cap price with buying the base material. So it's still not worth it to make money. And so at some point, I know that many of my group, the last cap I built was in pure blind, and then scarcity hit, and everybody stopped. Everybody stopped because there was no way to make money. The price for production before was low, but after scarcity, it became you were actually losing money. You were contributing to the problem if you were building stuff. So
yeah, that's crazy. Well, and then just the sheer volumes, it sounds like, logistically to bring in to build these, it sounds like they've cut water need for the production chain in half on some modules, which will help, but still, that's got to be just an astronomical amount of M3 to get all these things into one place to put one of these gaps together.
Oh yeah, I mean it's still not worth it with the current price. So I think the market is gonna just take a little more. It's gonna take more time for the market to adjust, for the stockpile to go down, and some people are actually producing at a loss.
Yeah, that's crazy. So what do you think? Do you think gas compression, you think that'll help a bit with that supply block, or do you think it's just going to have to be kind of a volume issue that people either need to scale up production or maybe cut down on production requirements?
No, what they would need is to add gas site that you don't have to scan. The problem is that having to scan them. That's what the big bottleneck is. The bottleneck is actually finding those gas sites, and you do manage to find them, but it is a lot. It just asks for more than what people are used to. People were used to, okay, I undock my mining fleet, because they typically, a miner will have a bunch of alts, and you will undock and you will get on a moon, or you will get in an anomaly and you'll mine. But you don't really mine gas that way, or not. It is more complicated. So
that's kind of funny.
I think having it as kind of like a spawning site, like ice and like specific systems, and having like specific gas systems as well, would be pretty awesome to see.
Yeah, like basically like ice is right now. It's just having something that respawn in specific system, or have it like an iHub upgrade that will make you spawn gas anomaly or something, or even if you do have a smaller cycle or a longer cycle before they respawn or something. But
it's kind of funny. We're talking about this because like that's luckily with gas being as valuable as it is, that's kind of actually our how we make our money. That's kind of our bread and butter. Is we got a really good group that, and we kind of got this weird little, I guess, way we go out and we do a lot of gas mining out in low sec and wormholes. And I was really glad to see that they didn't take away the gas mining bonus to ventures because for us we can buy a skill book for a new guy and he can go out and make a lot of money. But
Oh
yeah,
yeah, and I'm sure you're making a lot of money because it's basically right now it's basically the bottleneck of all the production change. So,
yeah,
and I guess it is having, if you look at it in another way, it is having the desired effect because it gives some people a way to make a living doing that, which
yeah.
is kind of what they wanted to do.
But yeah,
But but yeah, but if you look at it from like the person that was just a player that liked to, and most of the industrialists, they like to be able to control their entire supply chain by themselves, and it is harder than it is to do now. So before you can, I mean, I built a Moros entirely out of rat wreck. I almost had a Oracle built out of wreck from, so I wasn't even doing mining, and that is no longer possible. Like, is it good? Is it bad? It did change my gameplay, and personally, I adapted, and I think that overall it's better for the game, but it does change my like personally as a player. My little routine was completely put upside down with that, and I can't do what I used to do. And I can understand that it does piss off some player that were used to work like that.
yeah, yeah. I think the another thing too is the Roricle is obviously a bit of the problem with uh, having too much minerals and supplies in the market, but also for the PvP guys, it's having those out there to hunt is also something that we want to keep going, and they kind of got this weird balancing act to maintain. And I don't know. I don't think you're going to
Yeah,
make any group happy with whatever change you come to with that, but something does have to be happen there, and I acknowledge that. But and it looks like they've rolled back the changes a little bit. We'll see how it goes.
yeah. The thing is, you need target for the hunter, but at the same time, you need the actual industrialist to be able to afford to put those things on grid and make money with what they're doing. So right now, the thing is I don't know if it's maybe the amount of material it takes to build those mining ship uh, makes them. I mean, an industrial player will not get rich in Eve unless you're very very like if you like let's say an industrial player with one account will not get rich obviously compared to a guy that is just ratting or doing incursion, or you will never make the amount of money running industry as you would ratting. It's day and night. uh, the people that are serious industrialists all the one I know run multiple accounts, and they do have like a massive amount of reaction, massive amount of production slot, and they will grab a little bit of money everywhere, and they will unlock like whole ratting fleet where they have their own booster, and they're basically playing 10 character by themselves, and that's how they make money.
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, it's cool to see that there is that, you can do that and there is that style of gameplay, but yeah, it's a little bit discouraging, for a new guy looking in to get into that process. It's pretty daunting undertaking.
Yeah.
I'm glad they made the change to get rid of waste for at least for, new guys so they're not, de-incentivized to get to mine some of those more profitable moves. Sorry to cut you off there.
No, no, it's okay. I mean, and no, I'm in the same place as you are. I mean, some of the change are good. What they would need is they need to like find a way to make active gameplay something something more rewarding, especially on the industry side. Make like production slot worth something by having the player actually do something. Same thing for mining. Make the player actually do something so that one guy cannot have a fleet of 10 people running AFK, and that's a good thing. But then again, it's like from CCP perspective, they don't care if you're paying for 10 account, you're paying for 10 account, and they make money too. So in a way, they don't want to discourage that type of gameplay too much because they make their money that way too.
Yeah. So I'm not pretending I know what I'm talking about here. So with these T2, if you do the high waste, does that mean even though you're wasting some of those materials, does that mean you're actually still mining quicker though? Or you can actually like fill up your cargo hold quicker? I wasn't sure about that, and I didn't look into it that much.
To be honest, I haven't really looked at it too much.
I know I need to look at that because it was kind of a, out in low sec. I mean, we got where we're staged at. We got like 14, 15 belts, and if we do want to actually try to do a little bit of mining and low sec on a belt, like resources are definitely not an issue, but it would be cool, and we can waste all day long and still be fine. It would be kind of be neat if they did, if that is the change, that you can mine more but you waste some, and it's that way you don't have to be out in space so long when you got that just sheer volume to go through. Well, I think we're kind of, unless you got anything else to talk about on this. I mean, it's not everyone's cup of tea, but I think it's pretty interesting, and it's definitely going to, even the PvP guys out there, this is going to shape your style of gameplay. If you want to fly it, it has to be built first. I guess I'll get into my last little spill here. So this week, Twitch got affiliated, so that's awesome.
Woo!
Yep, pretty excited about that. So you got our first sub. I know who it was. Thank you, wife. She's supportive. Social infrastructure, the corp, still out in low sec. Kind of been, one of those groups, local groups in the area have found out that we're active. So, and we kind of, made up of new guys. So we got people hunting us. So it's kind of one of those things, do we stay docked up or try to go out and fight them? And we've been fighting them here or there, and it hasn't been good at first, but we've finally been winning some fights and coming back at them a little bit. But it's kind of one of those things. I think it's a necessary evil to kind of prove ourselves. Yeah, it's been super fun. Alliance has been growing, still getting some people out there. I need to watch your YouTube a little bit and kind of get this down a little bit more to give people better updates, kind of like you have. But with not having an industry empire to build, kind of don't have as much to tell everyone. But if you want to give Eve a try, if you want to get into PvP or do a little bit of OSEC mining, welcome everyone to give social infrastructure a try. We're in the State Federal Alliance. We're also looking for corporations. Or if you're wanting to get into the nullsec, I highly recommend you guys going over and looking at WOMP. And I want to thank our guests for being on today.
Thank you so much, Thanak.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me. It has been a pleasure.
Well, I don't know what we'll be doing next week with Thanksgiving and all, but we might eke out an episode. So hopefully we'll see you guys next time. Have a good one.